I'm Travis Murray with the Pinball Company, and in today's video, we will cover part 2 of our Godzilla Gigan strategy video series. Now, if you haven't watched it yet, I encourage you to follow this link to see part 1, as it covers the early to mid-game portions of our Gigan strategy. If you watched part 1, well, you're in the right place, as we will continue right where we left off and show the end game to this strategy. You will see one of the tier 2 battles, as this battle becomes available once you've changed cities away from Tokyo and have completed at least half of a tier 1 Kaiju Battle. Afterwards, we'll play Monster Zero, which was qualified as our level 4 power-up from collecting a super jackpot during Godzilla multiball. Fair warning, I did have a minor hiccup with the camera towards the end of this video. I know, complete shocker if you see me on the Triple Drain Pinball podcast, but no worries, as the gameplay and audio is still there. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. As long as you focus on the core, that's the goal. You can start understanding everything else eventually, but really focus on the core, just your battles. Understand how to start the battles and what they are. So we're not leaving the city, but we did have to hit the ramps again. And now we qualified a tier 2 Kaiju, which was very important because level 3 power up, I'm going to select the plus 20 seconds timer. I want that timer to be as long as possible. And I'm going to take my King Ghidorah and Gigan Battle. And the reason why we're going to do this is because it's a lot of fun to play. Plus it could be worth a lot of points. So in this mode, you have a ball save for a little while, but you have to hit spinners to build up your jackpot value. Now, like you saw right there, once you do that so much, you hit so many switches, then your jackpot's light in 5 different areas, which is your spinner, left ramp, center spinner, right ramp, and the loop. So those are the shots you're gonna see. On some copies, if you hit the left spinner really fast, just like you saw, you could even like spot a shot during it, which is excellent. And now my goal is I want to hit the building in order to fight or flee. I can choose to take my points and leave the mode and exit, or I can keep fighting and keep risking. And then you also saw a wall-up shot right there, and that wall-up shot is basically a spot a shot where it's just the backwards U-turn shot between the Magna Grab and the building. Okay, there's a super spinner. You get that on that center spinner after you use Heat Ray. That's what you're seeing the value there because it was 2x'd. And again, you're seeing random Rampage letters come up. Don't worry about that. Flaky switch. Usually you got to qualify those at the far left spinner, and then you actually have to hit the left spinner. And we're not doing that here. So we're getting some cheap points right there, or at least cheap progress. All right, still on ball 3. And again, ball saves out, and you are against a timer. So you kind of want to try to pick and choose where you're going to go with this here. And I'm going to keep fighting because we added the 20 seconds, so I know I've still got over a minute. And this is part of the risk. But we got that jackpot built up to well over 10 million now. So we're at 10.8, plus we got an 8x multiplier. So all that multiplier really means you've hit that many shots in this mode. And that's going to be your exit value once you do choose to flee. So that's exactly what that means. So trying to stay under control. Missing a couple of shots here, but just trying to get that ball back in there. And we got about 40 seconds left, 39 seconds, somewhere right around there right now. And so we're getting close. We're getting close to deciding to leave, but I'm going to chance it one more time here. And depending where you're at, you might have opted to bail out right then and there. And there's nothing wrong with that because it entirely depends on who you're playing at the time or what your goals are. I believe there's an achievement in this mode if you reach 500 million, so you may be trying after that if you're playing solo, or just wanting to just lay the hammer down while you're in competition. You could do that also. I've seen people get over 1 billion on this in competition when they're really dialed in. So for me, I choose to flee right here. And I'm going to exit out with probably approximately 470 million, I believe, somewhere right around there. Okay, it is 470 million. So that right there gives you an idea of how quickly things can come together. So we're over 1.1 billion just from basically playing the game and doing the things that we can do to take what the game's given us, basically. So once you get to this point, I have qualified tank. However, for this game, I really don't want to worry about tank too much. We've got to play it just because it's going to stay there at the scoop. But the most important thing is level 4 power up is there, light monster 0. So as soon as I come out of this tank attack multi-ball, it will be lit at the building up the middle. And that could be pretty significant points. I think if you look back at Free Play Florida 2022, I believe, I think Raymond Davidson in finals, as a matter of fact, used a crazy monster 0 to come all the way back. And I think it's game 1. For that. So if you're wanting to see a great example of Monster 0, which we will play that later on in this video, but if you want to see a great example, that would be one to watch. So again, tank multi-ball, you're basically just hitting green inserts, and then after you hit so many tanks, it'll light a super jackpot at your mazer cannon at the left. But again, we're not worried about that for purposes of this video. As you can tell with the massive 6.9 million tank multi-ball. But what we are wanting is Monster 0. So we're going to go up into the building, and now we've qualified Monster 0. So this is kind of a 2-phase mini wizard mode. What you're going to see with this is we've got to hit the green shots. Then as soon as we hit the green shots, that will do 2 things. It'll light the building in order for us to lock in that ball for a future multi-ball, or we can keep hitting the red shots and build up our future jackpots. So that's the risk reward. If you drain before locking this ball, you lose the whole mode. The whole mode's done. But as long as that ball save's going, go ahead and take a few shots. Go ahead and try to build up your jackpots. Nothing wrong with that. Although I have seen some people opt to go ahead and just take the lock and just continue on from there. Again, can't go wrong either way. It's just totally up to you how you want to approach it. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my lock right there to guarantee myself a multi-ball. And at the same time, too, that will guarantee that my super jackpot will now be at 3x. So basically what you want to do, if you can lock 3 balls, that will make your super jackpot value go to 8x in the victory multi-ball portion of this mode. So we're going to hit green inserts again, or green shots. And as soon as we do that, that will light up red shots. So I can take my red shots to build up value. Nearly lost it right there, which would have been not good at all. So we're going to keep building, and then eventually we'll go back into the building to go ahead and lock this ball. And the red shots will go away eventually if you take too much time. So you do still need to hit your shots. You can't just Mr. Magoo your way through this trying to build the jackpot value. All right, so there's our second lock right there. And now we'll have shots available at both ramps, center spinner, and the building. Jackpot value is still pretty minimal right now. Ideally, I always like to see that value try to get to at least 8, preferably above 10. If I can get up to 15 or 12, even better, but I forget what I have it up to here. Most likely I'm probably going to push it to 10 because that's typically what I like to do. In competition, I think I would be perfectly fine with going ahead and just taking the 3 locks though, I think. So we'll see here. So we're at 4.5. And again, we're going to go up by 750,000 basically every shot. Maybe even 500. I forget what it is exactly. All right, lots of loops. Heat ray's ready, which is excellent. That's another reason you can definitely get your heat ray ready. And again, that will spot every single shot out there, which is ultra important. So our jackpot value's at 10.5. We're getting our third lock, which makes the super jackpot multiplier up to 8x. Now I've got to hit a bunch of shots here to light that super jackpot, which would be the reverse shot through the wall-up shot, through the building. So I think I'm trying to find some shots here. Ideally, you could just go ahead and just use your heat ray early. And then, of course, I do it right there. That's worth pretty significant value. If you bring in a 2x, it could be worth a ton. But now I can either hit that center spinner shot or I can keep trying to hit jackpots to try to light my super jackpot at the building or at the wall-up shot. So I need 3 more jackpots right now. Kind of flailing around, trying to get under control. And that's the tough part. You do have to kind of try to think ahead with your shots. It's not the easiest mode. You definitely need to know your shot geometry. You need to know where the ball's going next, and you need to have multi-ball control as much as possible. But admittedly, I feel pretty good about just playing this game wide open just because I do have the out lanes just covered with the default settings. It's not near as difficult. All right, so there's a super jackpot right there. And then we got another ball in play, which is nice. And we'd have to hit a lot more shots all over again to get back to the super jackpot. A lot of shots. I think it was at least 12, maybe more. I know we got 9 right now. And the good news is now that we're on our next phase of all this, 2x jackpots. There you go. So again, if you can play under control right here, there's a lot of value in this spot. A lot of value. So our jackpots are worth 23 million right now. We're going to keep jamming out. And the way I'm playing, there should be a drain coming up. Of course, as soon as I say it, there it is right there. All right, so right after you get out of this, destruction jackpot lights. And that's going to be our main goal, is to go ahead and hit that and collect that again. And I believe, so jet fighters started right here. This is key. If you accidentally or you start jet fighters at any given time, it probably should take priority somewhat just because you get the 10, that's another extra ball, or it's worth 50 million points. So destruction jackpot right here, it's going to be fairly significant if I can finish this. So there's a little tap save into the destruction jackpot, followed up by some loops. So there you go. That's how some points can pile up as well. We got our extra ball just because of the jet fighters that happened right there, because that shot was also on the loop. And again, so much different stuff going on. I think right there too, Rampage ended up starting in the background. And again, I didn't go through the right things to do Rampage. Flaky switch. So it basically easily started. But we'll explain it anyway. So Rampage, what it is, it's a time shot that starts on the left ramp and it'll move over to the bridge. It'll move over to the center spinner. It'll just keep going over to the right after your shot time's done. It's worth a value that keeps getting higher and higher. And if you complete 11 shots early on, you will get an extra ball. You also have a ball save for a little while that usually lasts up until about, I think, halfway through the building. So it should be going out at any time now. Let's see what happens here. Maybe it even goes further through the building. I forget off the top of my head. All right, so it's on the center spinner and the ball save is still going. So there you go. So maybe it's halfway through the center spinner. And so let's talk about destruction jackpots a little bit while I'm doing this. One of the things that's very important is to understand how that magna grab releases the ball, because sometimes the ball may not release properly to the upper flipper. If that happens, I would highly recommend not taking any chances. I would just let it come down to your left flipper, get trapped up, or send it to the right side. I wouldn't necessarily try to hit it and try to collect your jackpots, just because it's very hard to do if that ball is kind of just tailing towards the middle of the playfield and you're not getting a smooth hit on it or a clean hit on it. So meanwhile, Monster Rampage is still going. As you can tell, the shot's still going to the right after so many seconds. And we've completed enough shots to get another extra ball right there. And again, if you weren't in competition, that would have been worth 50 million. Although I could probably say if this was competition, hopefully somebody would have noticed, or me playing would have noticed, hey, I'm getting Rampage letters, and that would have been addressed anyways with the TD. So the shot will keep roving until it eventually ends at the left spinner. I have 15 seconds to go ahead and keep hitting that. I'm opting not to because I was chasing Ghidorah, which we didn't even talk about in this. That's a whole other side thing as well. But yeah, so I paid for it by doing that. But the most important thing is after 3 balls is to see exactly what has happened right here for us to get an idea of where we're at in the game and what all we were able to get done. So the score coming up is 2 billion points. All right, so we'll go ahead and just stop it right there, not worry about the extra balls. So again, that is basically what I like doing for Godzilla Pinball. That's how I like to get my points. Those are the modes or the kaiju battles that I like to play. I feel like that's the easiest path in terms of playing a single ball, in terms of combining up a multi-ball with another kaiju battle with Titanosaurus and Godzilla multi-ball. So again, you can do it any way you want to. Megalon's a lot of fun. Ebra's a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll have other videos out explaining how those kaiju battles work. But for now, this is the path of least resistance. And I firmly believe that if you guys try this out, whether on location or at home, and keep working on it over and over and over again, you'll eventually figure it out. And this does lead to pretty significant scores. So if you've ever struggled of breaking 500 million, and I've had people text me and email me that have had issues breaking 350 million, this is a surefire way that once you get it down, you will break those scores and you will get through that plateau. And that's really what it's all about. Pinball gets a lot more fun once you do that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I will address them as soon as I can. Until next time, you guys take care. Later.